Hey YouTube, this is Boogie presenting the second episode to Breaking Down, and here we're going to look at Spellcaster, a full rank 9 plus 12 Jade of Steady Defense or Garnet Gem, rank 9 second recast plus 12 sword, which means it has purified spell proc on it. The link of all his gears and build is in the description if you want to check that out. Here we see a really good move. He flew over the walls inside Vicious base and killed what it must have been 5 or 6 people, so half a squad by himself, and got out safely. I mean, it might not be such an achievement, but the thing is, you gotta remember is that it really helped his team, because he has a team full of catters, and basically half his faction was outside ready to go in, and Spellcaster just took out the defense who were ready out by himself, which was a really good move and helped his faction. Here I don't get why he used Suture. Granted, he did have full chi, but there was really no need to use Suture, the zero channeling skill, in my opinion, because he could have easily killed Arvindor with just one hit on Divine Pyro, or as he did, I think he used Stone Rain in the end, and that's killed Arvindor straight away. It's also worth noting that Spellcaster has a pretty good genie. I believe, well, looking at the stats, I'm gonna guess it's got 100 dexterity or so. So he has a pretty reliable Badge of Courage as well as a pretty potent Spark. I don't really get why he has Heart of Steel as his 8th skill rather, but each to their own, I guess. And that, like before he switched to the clip, you saw that Hailstorm. That was also pretty good. Being a demon wizard, you have the advantage of having crowd control skills like freeze and stuns, which well, it freezes or stuns your opponent, obviously, but it makes I mean, like, just by freezing the archer, he made killing him possible, whereas otherwise he would have ran away with Holy Path. Yes, he does have rank 9 plus 12, but what you guys gotta remember is that he hasn't upgraded his armor yet, so he broke his set bonus, which is 20 attack levels, and gained 19 extra attack levels actually. So his DD is just as potent as a rank 9 plus 12 without recast. So that's something to bear in mind as well. Don't be screaming OP just yet, even though his survivability has improved a lot. Another thing that's very positive about his gameplay is that he always notices when he gets purged. Being buffed as a wizard is very important, especially if you're demon, because your demon stone barrier gives 150% boost to physical defense. Without it, you're pretty squishy regardless of buffs, and with it, you're pretty much solid as a rock. So here again, we see Spellcaster being selfless, and I think he doesn't die in the process because he got Seal of the God, the collect 100 skill, which decreases the damage you get taken by 90%. But that Dragon's Breath was a really good move around the crystal, because again he just took out a squad of Vicious while his team was in there taking out the opponent and letting the Catters survive for a little bit longer. One thing that I would say he should do more is probably target barbs and BMs more than archers. I mean, this is only a few bits of his gameplay, but from what I see at the moment, he's targeting archers a lot, as opposed to other classes. To be fair, Vicious does have a lot of rank 9 archers that potentially poses a great threat, and Spellcaster can 1 or 2 hit. So in his defense, I guess that might be part of the reason why he's targeting so many archers. But still, if I'm playing my wizard and I see a barb or a BM next to an archer, I would probably target the barb or BM first. And then again, I don't know what squad he's playing in, what his role in TW is, so I can't really comment, but in general, as a wizard, you still probably want to be primarily targeting barbs and BMs and other hard armor classes. Another thing I noticed in Spell's gameplay is that he favors Stone Rain a lot as opposed to Pyrogram. This is by no means a bad thing, because Stone Rain actually favors his gear setup a lot better, as it does 200% weapon damage and does more fixed add-on, but it does channel and cast slower than Pyrogram for the same amount of chi gain. And as a demon wizard, I've always found myself short in terms of chi gain. So yeah, I mean, I guess I prefer demon Pyrogram to lead with as opposed to Stone Rain, but I guess that's his personal preference as well. And about 20 seconds ago, Spellcaster, I mean, this is one of his weakness in his gameplay, I guess. He just goes into autopilot mode and doesn't really look at his opponent. You see the same here again, but just then it was on Area Arrow. Area Arrow used a Pangu's essence, and Spellcaster didn't notice and carried on channeling skills on Area Arrow, and that was the same with Isabeau. She used, I think it was an Iron Guard instead, and Spell carried on DDing for about 2 or 3 skills before finally switching to another target. If your opponent is Iron Guarded, there's no point focusing on them, because you can't do anything to them unless you're a Mystic or a Seeker and you have like a few skills to do it. And that was, I think, a waste of a Spark and of Sutra, which is 200 chi, because Aris ran away and he didn't do anything. I like how Spell uses a lot of area of effect skills. He does a lot of damage because of his attack levels, as well as his magic attack, and his AoEs makes it all the more potent. Just now, when Area Arrow barraged on him, he walked towards the barrage. I'm not sure if it was an intended move, because he started walking towards her before she set up barrage anyway, I believe. But nevertheless, it was still a good move, because because she barraged on him and he moved away from his group, that meant the rest of his group was safe from the AoE. And yeah, if you're hard to kill and someone's got a barrage on you, either just move away from the group or shut them down or do something. Don't stand there and tank it. You might be able to tank it, but your team might be just dead. If you look at my TW videos, and I barrage on Harking a lot, and he just stands there. He doesn't die. That's okay with me. I don't mind. I'm not trying to kill him. I'm trying to kill the teammates around him who could be causing a nuisance. And he doesn't drop for 20 seconds. That's a good thing, because my barrage is up for 20 seconds. There's not much you can do against a gank like that. That was also good coordination on Vicious' part, I believe, because he does have a Purify spell weapon, and they managed to kill him before that procced. I did notice that Spell had full Genie Energy there, so he could have popped AD and survived that and probably distance shrinked away, but he did not. I mean, I don't really blame him, because that was over in, what, 2 seconds? So, I mean, no one's reaction can be expected to be that fast to be able to analyze the situation and to be able to process the information and then press AD. No one should be expected to do that. Coming back to targeting people, I don't get why Spellcaster targets so many AAs. I mean, he just targeted Isabeau, a rank 9 cleric, and then was it Splosh or was that Hinade? But yeah, anyway, he's just targeting AAs and Fengray, another wizard, and then back to Archers, which is a better target, but still not brilliant, I guess. I'm not sure if you or Spell noticed that, but when Bavi sparked, Sage Spark, he went to undying him, which, I mean, why? Why don't you Force of Will him? I don't notice Spell using Force of Will a lot, and that's a good move for shutting down people. It shuts down barrages by interrupting them as well as sealing them, and it's just good offensive and a good defensive move. I mean, look, Ryogi Shikai used the seal there and prevented that spell from attacking them, and in fact made him run all the way back pretty much. So I mean that's another tip for spell. If you're watching this, I recommend that you use force of will a little bit more. Another weakness in your gameplay is that you don't really use crabs or defensive charms a lot. You have them on your hotkeys. You have crabs on F4, I believe, and physical defense charms on, like, I can't read it. But yeah, I mean you do have them on the hotkey, which is a good start. But I never really see you clicking them. Is it because they're not getting ticked? I doubt that, because I see you getting hit pretty much all the time, but you never seem to use those things. And yet those things can improve your survivability by quite a bit. That, I gotta give it to you, was a good expel, even though you did get lucky with the Purify spell proc, which purified the seal from expel straight away, while still retaining the buff. But it did save your life because I saw the resist, and it gave you enough time for your charm to tick. This just wraps about all I want to say about spells gameplay. My recommendation would be for you to look at the buffs a little bit more, so you can use your skills and target people more effectively, and also be a bit more of a team player. Yes, I know you are the server's best geared wizard, and you're probably also one of, if not the best QQ DD, but I still think you should be supporting your faction a little bit more in shutting down some opponents, some really key opponents, rather than just DDing the whole time. I think it's also good for you to keep yourself alive without a cleric a little bit more, by which I mean when you go on one of those suicide kind of AoE things that takes out, I don't know, 2 or 3 squads, try just keeping yourself and getting yourself back alive when your cleric can't reach you. I mean, if you're going to go into Iron Guard and AoE, drop a Blade Tempest or drop a Mounting Seas followed by Hailstorm, and then this thing shrink back instead of opening Dragon's Breath so often. Yes, Dragon's Breath could be very deadly if used in the right situation, but keeping yourself alive instead of dying and be out of action for at least 30 seconds could be a lot more useful to your faction when you are one of their most potent DDs. So yeah, that's it for this episode. If you want me to analyze and break down your gameplay in the next episode, please submit a video response below. Post me a link to your video in the comments or via PM, and I'll see what I'll do.